son got furious when he found out his daughter was getting more inheritance than him. 16 years ago, my son Matthew had a daughter with his wife, Josie. I always thought of Josie as my own daughter. She was sweet, kind, thoughtful. So when they divorced 7 years ago because Matthew cheated on her, I was absolutely heartbroken. Disappointed doesn't even begin to cover it. Josie wasn't close with her own family. She'd moved here from another country just months before Matthew got caught cheating, and she had nowhere to go. She was a stay-at-home mom with no support system. So my husband and I took her and our granddaughter Ruth in without hesitation, and Josie was an angel about it. She insisted she didn't want us doing anything extra for her. Even though she was hurting, she stayed civil around Matthew, never caused drama, never made things harder than they already were. My husband and I helped raise Ruth. We were there for everything. Matthew remarried less than a year after the divorce and had a son 4 years ago. And after that, he basically disowned Ruth, just cut her out of his life like she didn't exist. 2 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with lung cancer. It destroyed us. Ruth took it especially hard. She and her grandfather were incredibly close. She told him about her girlfriends and boyfriends before anyone else. She always said she wanted him to be the one to walk her down the aisle someday. Matthew barely visited, didn't answer our calls. When we did reach him, he'd say we had other kids, so it wasn't like my husband was dying lonely. Last night, Matthew showed up at our house to talk about inheritance. He never once mentioned Josie, never asked about Ruth. The entire conversation, he kept hinting that he thought he should get more than his siblings. My husband and I kept exchanging these awkward looks. Finally, my husband cut in. He explained that everyone would get a piece, but he wanted to focus more on Ruth and Bonnie, one of our other grandkids. Matthew exploded. He said Ruth was just a bastard, that his son deserved more than her. My husband went absolutely furious. He stood up and left the room, saying he wouldn't include Matthew in the will at all. Matthew started yelling. He turned to me and said Ruth wasn't worth it because she'd just grow up to be a whore like her mother. I looked at him, my own son, and I told him I'd rather have her mother as my daughter than him as my son. I told him to leave, get out of my house. Now I'm getting calls from Matthew's wife and family friends saying we overreacted, that he was just angry we were playing favorites, that we pushed him too far. But Ruth was in the house when this happened. She overheard everything, what he said about her, what he called her mother. Now she's asking questions, doubting herself, wondering if what he said is true. My husband and I are planning to get a DNA test just to put her mind at ease, because Matthew's words got under her skin. I never wanted to choose between my son and my granddaughter. I tried so hard to make that clear when Josie and Ruth moved in. I never discouraged Matthew from visiting. I wanted him in their lives, but he walked away. He chose to abandon his daughter. He chose to show up only when money was involved, and now he's calling the child I helped raise a bastard and a future whore.